Hi, and welcome to Knit All the Things. My name is Laurel. I'm also known as West Maven on Instagram, Ravelry, and here. If you're new, this is a space where I talk about all the things I'm knitting, all the things I want to knit, all things yarn, just all the things. And if you're returning, welcome back, Knitting Bestie. I can't wait to catch up with you. In this week's episode, I have gotten a lot of progress done on my Zopf sweater. I am going to talk a little bit about what's next, and you guys voted on what color I should finish my Sophie scarf, and I took all of the votes into consideration, tallied them, and finished the scarf, so I will show that at the end. So grab your project, get cozy, and let's go. All right, we'll do the quick, what am I wearing? I'm wearing the White Mountains Light sweater. This is a pattern by Midori Hirose. I believe I chose the wider neck, and I did just long sleeve. I did a large oversized fit, so I went with the size 5, and I did make it with Knitting for Olive mohair held double. I really, really love this sweater. It is a go-to of mine. I constantly grab it. Mostly, I mean, there's probably several reasons. It's black. I do like the oversized fit. I often tuck part of it so that it's not just eating me alive. And then I thought I would share with you, sometimes I do like to use these like very stretchy, they're like cloth bands, and I will put them on the cuff of something, and then it helps hold it too, so that it's kind of scrunched up and out of the way. And that way you're not fussing with your sleeves falling down. I really like this sweater. I actually have been reconsidering making it. I think if I'm gonna make it again, while I love this oversized fit, I think I will do less positive ease, meaning the amount larger than your body. And I think that I will use another mohair. I kind of have been toying with the idea of maybe keeping the cuffs held double, but leaving the body maybe not, maybe just one strand. So I'm not sure. This is a compound raglan sweater, which means that the rate of increase is variable. So at the beginning, you are increasing the sleeve and the body, I think, the same. And then after a certain point, the ratio changes. So it gives you this really nice fit. You know, the sleeves aren't hugely oversized, which is really nice. The kind of width of the raglan itself is quite wide. Like, this is a wider neck and a wider raglan. I do believe, like I said, this is the larger neckline. There's a couple of different options. There's also an option to make it more like a vest, which I think would be really nice. And yeah, so it's a really versatile pattern. It comes in sizes kids all the way up to, I think, 6XL. So it's a huge size range. You could make this sweater over and over again and change various things and really have like a new pattern. It's very worth the price of the pattern. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of be cozy, comfy, and not super flashy today, if you will. So that is the White Mountains Light by Midori Hirose. Highly recommend. And like I said, I have been considering maybe making another one just because it's such a comfortable, nice sweater. Speaking of Midori, I have another one of her projects on the needles. So I am currently knitting Midori's pattern Zopf. This is... Oh, and I had to look it up because I knew it must mean something. And maybe you already know this, but it's basically a braided loaf of bread, similar to, maybe, I'm probably going to say this wrong too, a challah bread loaf. So that is one thing. I am holding 3 strands together. I'm holding Goodwill by Pearl Soho in the colorway Well Water. It's an interesting color. It's like a charcoal / blue, navy blue. It definitely is blue toned, but it definitely is a very dark color. And then I'm holding it together with this yarn I purchased from Goodwill, which is a local yarn store. They sell yarn on cones. This is the yarn called Puff. It is a cashmere and polyamide blend, and it's like 95% cashmere. It's a very high percentage, but it is a boucle, and it's a very, very thin boucle. So I originally looked at the yardage and realized I could hold this with this yarn. And then I cast on and had decided I was going to do 2 strands of this, and then I ran out of yarn. So I had to go purchase more, and luckily they had it, because the thing with good yarn is they do not always have the same yarn in stock. It's just whatever they can get. So I was lucky enough to be able to grab it, but that's what we got going on. So since I'm holding it double, I've basically wound off some of the cone. I'm gonna have to wind off more, but I just was trying to like get going again. And so it's going to, when I swatched, it's a really nice fabric, especially once it's been washed. So I am really looking forward to washing this and wearing it. But I finished the body. And this is an interesting shaped sweater, as you can see. So it's got like this very triangle shaping. It has a braid. I'm going to show you on this side because it's just a little easier to see. It has a braid all the way starting at the very top of the neck, all the way down the side, all the way down the arm. So I'm on one of the sleeves. This is a really interesting fitting sweater. So the neck has got a lot of fabric, and the sleeves are made to be super long. And part of me, when I was knitting it, I went, oh, do I really want that? And I thought, you know what? I really love the look of the sweater. I'm gonna just go for it. The point that I thought was interesting is typically when you go to decrease on sleeves, you do it like at the end, right? Like you're making it smaller, smaller, smaller. This one, where you're gonna adjust your sleeve length, is actually at the top of the sleeve. So it's whether or not you're going to basically leave the not doing decreases, like how soon you're going to start them. So that I thought was interesting, and there is guidance within the pattern on how to do that. One other super important thing, if you're going to knit this pattern, when you start knitting it, I highly, highly suggest you mark the back of your pattern or of your sweater, for a couple of reasons. One of the reasons is when you go to pick up your sleeve stitches, your front and your back panels are different lengths, right? You have like short rows or whatever's going on to like create the perfect fit. And so the back body is a bit longer, and you're gonna wanna mark that so that when you go to pick up stitches, she gives instructions. For example, you have this braid up here. So it says like pick up 9 stitches here, and then pick up however many here, and then pick up however many in the different sections of the sweater. So if you mark the back of your sweater, it's just gonna make life easier on you, not having to figure out where you're at and what you're doing. So I highly recommend that. I just stuck a stitch marker in the back neck just so I knew right away what I was doing. But other than that, I thought I'll pop off screen and come back and I'll try it on for you guys so you can kind of see what we're working with. Okay, I'm attached to everything, so let me try to do this. But so here is the shoulder. You're probably not gonna see it with the stitch markers as well, but this is where your braid is. It starts way up here, it goes all the way down. This is the sleeve right here. And then on the sleeve, when you do start doing your decreases, you'll see all of my stitch markers. You do a certain type of decrease, or actually I think this might not be decreases. You start decreases, and I've marked each decrease so that I can tell where I'm at. And then I think, I'm not 100% sure, I have to look at the pattern. I think I'm about to do just like a regular row, no more decreases after this point. So I think I'm decreased out, and then it just goes for a while. But it has like this kind of funky cowl shape, which I think is really pretty. Again, you can kind of see the braid. And when I stopped, I'm gonna try to scoot back a little bit. When I stopped, I thought this would be cute. Like you could just throw a cuff on there and be done, and you have this like kind of funky pullover. You could still wear long sleeves if you wanted, but that's an option. Or like finish it as in pattern. So this is body-wise a bit shorter than I typically do. I do think this is gonna all like loosen up a bit when I block it, because it definitely is kind of stiff feeling at the moment. But like I said, I'm using that cone yarn and the good wool, and I think it just really needs to be blocked. And yeah, so I tried to finish the sleeve last night, and I thought I'm not gonna I'm really close, but I'm not going to finish it. So I have one more sleeve left essentially, and then blocking. And like I said, I think I'm going to wear this all the time. I do think like you got this going on. So you're going to want to wear something under it. So you have this short body. So it's just something to keep in mind. If you're going to be lifting a bunch of stuff, probably not the sweater for you unless you don't care about that. But yeah. So I do think if you were more talented than me, you could, there is a underarm gusset you can do that's like diamond shaped, and that will help prevent the pulling up of the underarm a bit. But I have never done that. I do believe in like the fisherman's Guernsey sweaters, they have that like diamond shape. So it's something you could look into. But as far as a modification I felt comfortable doing, that's just not one of them. Another thing that I did was I actually made a huge mistake. I finished going in the round on the body and just immediately started my hem ribbing. And that was incorrect because there are short rows on this sweater. I just skipped that. I think my brain was just like, finish the body, let's go. So I actually had to go back, rip out half of my hem and do the short rows because they are necessary. What else can I tell you? I think that's about it as far as being worn. So I'm going to switch my outfit again, but I did want to show you how that kind of fit because it is kind of a funky fit, but I really do like it. Okay, so that is my Zopf sweater by Midori Hirose. Like I said, I'm nearly finished and I am really loving cables lately. I think I'm on a bit of a cable kick. I have been considering after this what my next cast on will be, and I'm between two very different ideas. One being something very simple and stockinette that maybe I can adjust a little bit and make it more funky. And the other being the Hana sweater by Junko Akamoto, which is a bunch of different cable patterns or cable pieces, and you piece it all together. So I'm really enjoying cables. The cable repeat on this is very simple. I think I mentioned before, you do have increases inside of the cable and decreases inside of the cable. So once you get it, it's easy, but it just might take a tiny bit more brain power than the average just plain old cable. But it's certainly doable. Midori does an amazing job making all of the instructions very clear. I did make a mistake at some point, but I could see it right away. It was like I made a cable go the wrong direction, like two in the same direction, for example. But I just finished it, and I think it was like 4 rows away or something. So I just ripped back and fixed it really quick. But that is kind of where I'm at. I hope, like I said, that this is going to relax a little bit. Just because I don't like too short of sweaters. And when I was knitting this, the length underarm that they suggested was much smaller than I normally do. But I did look at all the pictures, and I think visually seeing everything, it looked fine, if that makes sense. Like I was like, well, that is shorter than I normally like, but the where the yoke comes to is also much longer than normal. So I'm gonna just trust that Midori knows what she's doing. I've never not liked any of the sweaters I've made from her patterns, so that's where I'm at. And then as you can see here, when I'm holding it up maybe a little bit better, hopefully, there's the like short row difference. So the short rows do make quite a bit of difference, and they do come down quite a bit in the back. So there you go. Also, again, like having this back stitch marker, you know, made me not have to question where my back of my sweater was. So just something to keep in mind. It's always a good idea to mark something in terms of like front or back or whatever for your sweaters in case you need to refer back to it. And like this is a very dark yarn, so it's not as visually maybe easy to see the difference. So again, something to keep in mind. Okay, I've been working on that a lot. Okay, The other thing that I actually cast on this week, and I haven't gotten that far, so I apologize, is another hat for my youngest. I feel like I should put this on barber cords and just test it on his head, because it just, like, it is ribbing, but it does seem like if it's too tight, he's not gonna like it. So I am a bit nervous about that. So now that I have some on there, I might just quickly pop it on his head, because it just still looks very small. But after I do that, if it's fine, I've been on the fence on what to do with this hat. So for his brother, I made the Snow Frost hat. She used to be known as the Petite Knitter, and now she's known as Saskia & Co. And I really like her colorwork patterns. I really love her colorwork hats. Originally, I was going to just do like the inverse of what I did for my other kids' hat. However, they're in a period of their life where they are not wanting to match as much. Or rather, the older brother is like, don't copy me. So I don't know exactly what I'm gonna do. My youngest has said he wants like bats, and there are a lot of bat hat patterns. None are fully jumping out at me in terms of like, oh, that looks fun to knit. And a bat is a quite plain silhouette where I feel like I could just improvise there. So I may do something like that. He also was like super happy with just having the same hat as his brother. So it's just going to be once I get further. I have a long ways to go on the ribbing. And like I said, this is kind of, now that I pulled it out, looking kind of small. So I might have him try it on with try-on cords just to see if it feels tight. I tend to do that with my hats. Like I'll cast on too tight and then the rest of the hat is kind of fine. So now that I'm looking at it, I'm probably gonna redo this. But you get the idea. So I'm going to use, this is by House of a la Mode. It's her Jingle colorway, I believe, on her House DK. And then just a black yarn, and this is La Bien Aimé's Black Merino DK. So those two together, both really nice, really soft feeling yarns. I really love this House of a la Mode color. She's really excellent at micro speckling. These are like red micro speckles and maybe a dark blue and maybe a purple. They're so tiny. It's a really fun yarn and it's really bright. I actually have enough to make maybe the main color of a sweater, and my kids just didn't seem like they wanted a hat or a scarf or something, but they were like, we don't want to wear a sweater. So I haven't made that yet. And now I have a bunch of the screen yarn, which I don't hate. Like, I think it's really fun. And it's actually super fun to knit and look at. So I'm really happy with that. But I have to just decide whether or not I'm going to be making up my own pattern, if you will, or motif. I have cast on the same amount of stitches as the Snow Frost, so I can do either. And I can, like, I've done this with the Jamie Lomax patterns where I've just created my own little motif and popped it into like part of one of her patterns just to like have my own thing. And so that's not that difficult. So I can just look at the chart and how many, you know, stitches are in a repeat and see if I can play with it in that way. So that's kind of what I'm planning on doing. I just don't know if I'm gonna have it in me to do a bat or whatever. Part of me also thought of doing dinosaurs, and I brought it up to him because he's really into dinosaurs, but a dinosaur hat did not have any appeal. So, because I know that Jamie Lomax does have like a dinosaur doodle pack, if you will. And if you're unfamiliar with her, she has a book all of like colorwork motifs, but she also sells these like card packs that also have various motifs. And on Ravelry, if you don't need the physical card pack, but you wanted a chart, I think it's a very inexpensive amount for like a pack of 24 charts. Okay, so the Sophie Scarf, you guys helped me out so much deciding. I tallied all of the color votes. Your options, because I did run out of yarn, I used Deegan and Fiction Fiber yarn, Boucle in the colorway I'm Liking It, and I ran out of yarn because I made a Sophie Scarf, but I just decided to try to do like as much as I had yarn for. A regular Sophie Scarf is like 150 yards. I had like 250, I think. So I thought, oh, well, I'll just add some increases in there, which I did. And I measured my ball of yarn to when I had like 55 grams left. And unfortunately, I never actually measured the starting weight. So that wasn't apparently half. So I ran out with just like this much left. So here's what I did. I asked you guys to help me pick the color to finish it off. My options were pink, a black and white yarn, a black yarn, and a bright blue yarn or a green yarn. And you guys voted a ton, and you guys really helped me out. And I ended up bright blue one. So here's what I did do, because this is technically the front of the scarf, and I striped it in a little bit and then did this. But I was like not as stoked on how that looked. So what I did was I had ends to cut off from the tip of the green, and where I put in, I had like 8 inches or 9 inches of yarn. So what I did was I striped it in, and then I used those little pits to basically weave in and like felt in some more little green pieces, so it kind of blended a little better. Let me know how you feel about that. I think it turned out better than I expected. I definitely think I like this side better than just the plain. So there's that. And to wear, let's see, let's do it. Can't talk. See if we can show off this cute color. There we go. So here it is, all finished with the little blue, with the little green bits. I think it turned out really nice. It's a good size scarf. I don't know. I know you guys love, I know people love the like tiny Sophie scarves, and I think they're probably really cute, but I really like this kind of bulk. For me personally, I feel like it's enough of the neck to be warm. But yeah, I like how it turned out. I'm not mad that I ran out of yarn, you guys. And thank you so much for helping me pick this color. I do think that every time I throw it on, I'm gonna think of you guys because you helped me. So thank you. I really like it. I think it's super fun. And the blue, honestly, when I was showing you guys, it was just like randomly sitting there, and I like caught it out of the corner of my eye. So we almost didn't even get the blue as an option. But yeah, there you go. So I think it turned out really good. I love this yarn. I think the blue like speckles are really cute in it. And it's just it was a pleasure to knit. I am honestly on such a boucle kick right now. I have seen it a ton at the like yarn festivals that I've been to. I haven't seen in person as many like knit items besides like those places out in the wild, if you will. But I really like the texture of this. I really think it's going to be so cozy to wear. It's a merino boucle. It's a 2-ply, and it's really a nice texture of yarn. I don't think it's at all itchy by any means. It's very soft. I think this bright blue, I was trying to think about it so that in case anybody wanted to try and find it, I'm gonna guess that it is probably a Malbrigo yarn, maybe Rios. It is a 1-ply yarn, and it is a very bright, bold cobalt color. So I would guess that is what this yarn is. It would be super old. Like, I think I made hand mitts out of it that I probably still have somewhere. And it was my own pattern. I used to always make fingerless mitts, and this was before I knew about patterns. It was just like, I'm gonna make this thing. And these double pointed needles look cool. I wonder how I can use them, to be honest. So it was something that I would just buy like whatever bright colorful yarn I would want, figure out whatever like needle size it suggested, use that, and then cast on and figure out if it was gonna like fit my hand or not, and then go. But yeah, I should try to dig them out. And if I can find them, I'll take a picture with all of this together because I think that would be fun. But that is the Sophie scarf. It is my very first one by PetiteKnit. Like I said, it is modified because I had just more yarn and I didn't want to not use it all. And I'm really happy with how it came out. And I would say this is probably about 8 inches wide or so, if I were to take a guess without measuring, since I don't have a thing right here. So it turned out to be a good size, and I think I'll get a lot of wear out of it. This was just honestly to commemorate. I purchased it at Sacred Sheep this year, and I just wanted to make a little accessory that I would wear. And that's what I did. So I have I have 2 other skeins of yarn from Sacred Sheep I have yet to use. One was going to be a hat for myself, which I still want to do, and one was going to be a hat for my husband. So that's kind of on the down the road projects, but that was the intention for those skeins. So I really appreciate your guys' help with that. I had a lot of fun. I can totally understand why people enjoy knitting the Sophie Scarf. I will say it is a great mindless and very portable project. It did take me a really long time. I don't know if it was just because I ran out of yarn or what, or that the boucle is a bit difficult to read your knitting just because of the texture of it. For me, it was difficult at least. So I had a billion stitch markers to mark my increases and decreases. So that was a bit unnecessary. I think if I would have used a non-boucle yarn, it would be much easier to read my knitting. I also did not block this yet, so I'm sure it'll be a little bit more drapey and a little nicer to wear. So that is that. Okay. So I really think that I enjoyed you guys helping me out with that. I would like your advice on what I should cast on next. I'm having fun with this, and I hope you guys are enjoying it. I, again, am between a stockinette project. I won't say which pattern because there's a few on my mind. I am considering one with intarsia. I am considering one that's just plain. And I think that I would be really interested in a V-neck sweater. I think that is playing on my mind a lot. I also think if I were to cast on a stockinette sweater, it would probably be a bit more wearable because the weather hopefully will be getting warm soon. However, the Hana sweater by Junko Atamoto is a very beautiful sweater, and it has been on my mind since I first saw it many, many years ago. So that's what I'm kind of thinking. I have been listening to a ton of audiobooks. I wanted to tell you guys about one that I am not even all the way through, but it's called Stolen Focus by Johann, and it's Why You Can't Pay Attention and How to Think Deeply Again. It's super interesting. For a nonfiction book, it's very captivating. He does a wonderful job keeping your attention, which I think is sometimes hard with all the distractions that we face all the time. But it's very eye-opening and quite frankly has made me rethink on how I'm using my devices a lot. So it was so far, I'm not done. Been very interesting. The other book that I just finished was called The Fragile Threads of Power by V.E. Schwab. I thought that was really good. It's a really good book. I really like V.E. Schwab. The author is Victoria something, but I think most of their newer books, they go by V.E. Schwab. I really like it. I'm sure it's like a YA type of book, but it's really good. And I've listened to a bunch of her books over the last little bit. So I think those are my recommendations for you guys this week. I also binge watched Secret Lives of Mormon Wives because one of the women is going to be on The Bachelorette as the Bachelorette, I think in March. So I wanted to catch up with that season, and that's about it. If you guys have any really amazing books that you're enjoying, please leave them in the comments below because I always love those recommendations. I am still putting together, I did kind of tease and I am still working on it, a collection of books that are either interesting if you're just wanting to be a more experienced knitter, or if you are wanting to dabble in designing. These are just books that I have found that I think are worth reading or looking at. So I wanted to share those with you as well, and I'm working on that. If you have any of those books, if you want to leave them in the comments below, I would love your help with that. Until next time, if you are not yet my knitting bestie, please make sure to subscribe, and please like this video. It tells YouTube that other fiber enthusiasts like yourself enjoy this type of content. Until a couple weeks from now, make some yarn magic. Bye!